So you're using Claude Code for client work, but what if it had access to your call transcripts from Firefly's AI, Otter's AI, or whatever note takers you want? And as soon as it received those call transcripts, it would start building out the project automatically. There's 3 skills I built that do this for me. It's been a game changer for the last few weeks when it comes to onboarding new clients and working with existing clients. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do those. If I head over to my folder here, I have a clients folder. I've redacted the 3 names of the people I'm working with at the moment. We also have 2 samples here of calls that I generated through Claude. Now, these are going to be onboarding and sales calls for a bakery website for $1,000 and $50 a month for hosting. So if you don't have call transcripts from actual clients, you can ask Claude to generate it. You can even copy the transcription from the bottom of this video and then paste it into Claude and ask it to replicate the system. So that way it can just go off and do its own thing. But if you have actual calls, you want to head over to your dashboard. In my case, I use Fireflies, and you can click on the download for whatever call you want. I do believe you need a paid plan for this feature. I was already paying for it, so I'm just going to use this. There are so many other tools out there. You might be able to find one that is free if you're not already paying for one. But either way, you want access to your call transcription. However, you can access that. Claude likes Markdown files. I'm going to download it as a Markdown file, and you just want to put it directly into your clients folder right here for the time being. So there's going to be a couple different skills we're going to use, and those will all be within the school community down below. If you need support with anything, if you have video requests, or if you also want software that I built in order to help you find vibe coding and AI automation jobs, then check that out. But if we're going to dive in, let's go ahead and use some of these skills. The first one will be /onboard. Here we have to pass in the client's name. In this case, the example was Sunrise Bakery. I'm just going to keep it simple and copy that and paste it right in here. At this stage, it's going to go through and it's going to create the client folder. It's also going to ask me for the URL of the client. In this case, we're going to assume this business does not have a URL because we're building them their first website. But if you do have a URL for your client, put that in there. It'll go ahead and scrape their website, get more context of the client. So here it's going to ask if it's going to create this folder. We're also going to create a call intake folder. This is where all your calls should be pasted into. And the reason why I'm not trying to use custom MCPs or APIs for all these different tools is that most people use a lot of different tools. Not everyone's on Firefly. Some people use Otter AI. Other people use different tools. And so I just want to show you the basic way to just copy the transcript in, because people usually aren't having, dozens or hundreds of client calls every day. And here it says it created this folder right here, the call intake. And then we also created the client folder itself. And it's asking for the website URL. I'm going to say they don't have a website yet. That's why we're building this. So just assume no website. So at this stage, it should be good to go. It's going to ask us to put our calls within the folder. So here it said, hey, we made call intake at this path, download all your call transcripts and as markdown files and put them in there. Cool. So let's go ahead and do that. If I do ls, we now see Sunrise Bakery. And if I do ls into Sunrise Bakery, we now see the call intake. So I'm going to move these current 2 markdown files into there. So I can say mv space star.md. This will look for all files that end in .md. And we're going to put those into Sunrise Bakery /call intake. Now, after that, if I do ls, we see no more markdown files in here. And if I navigate into there with the cd command, we can see the call intake folder. And of course, if I navigate into here, I do ls again, we now see these 2 files. So cool. I can now say, I added 2 markdown files in there, take a look. Now it's going to go through and look at the scope of the project. Now, once it creates the scope of this project, we're hoping that these files are going to be moved somewhere else, not within call intake. That way, call intake is always just an inbox for all calls. So whenever you have a new call for a new project from this client or something that needs fixed, you can put it in here. And in this case, we can vibe code this entire website for them. In fact, that's what we're going to be doing in this video, is creating this website for this fictional bakery. And then we're going to have another transcription generated asking it to change something about the website. And then we can just paste that in and Claude Code is going to do all the work for us. All right, so it just went ahead and made some plans. And here's what's saying the current folder structure is. We're going to have Claude MD, which is general context over the entire client. We have our now empty calls intake folder. To verify that I'm within the calls intake folder, if I do ls, it's now empty. If I head back here and do ls, we now see all of this stuff here. So if I do an ls for calls, we now see those calls are now dated and stored within sales call and onboarding call. If I also look at the Claude MD file, we now have access to a bunch of information about this client. Obviously, if this is a real client and you know a lot of information about them, we want to go and double check that everything here is relevant. But more importantly, we now have access to the website. If I open this up, we have plans. So if I go into plans, this is where all the different plans are going to go based off of your calls. So with that said, within this chat or another chat, I can now ask it to use that plan to build out the website. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. Using an appropriate amount of subagents, can you spin up any number of subagents to tackle that website project and build it within the website folder? So now it's going to use any number of subagents it deems necessary to go through and actually build out the website, and I'll let you guys know when it's done. All right, it says the website is done. It went through and did a bunch of building through the subagents, and obviously it's going to have some placeholder data because the initial call mentioned that this fake client is going to give me some information through Google Drive for their logo and other menu information. But if I head over to the website, this is the basic website here. Now, obviously, if I was building this for a real client, I would use the Claude Code front-end design skill to make this look much better, but that's out of the scope of this video. Right now, we're just focusing on how to get it from call to prototype and get something actually started with Claude Code in the quickest way possible. Now, 2 more skills to use. The first one is /status. So if you have a number of different clients you're working with, you want to make sure that you're up to date with everything. Nothing is pending. They're not waiting on you for anything. You can go back over here and you can say Sunrise Bakery, which is the name of this fictitious client. It's going to go through and look through all the plans, and it's going to determine what the current status of all the projects for that client is. All right, so here's the summary. We have 0 pending, 1 in progress, 1 blocked, and then we have access to the remaining action items, and we also have access to mention the exact website here. So this is a quick overview. The next thing that we're going to do with the next skill is going to be call /call, which you want to run after you have a call with a client and you put it within the call intake folder. To show you what that would look like, I went to the same Claude thread that generated the other couple ones, and here is another call that it's going to generate. We're going to go ahead and ask it to put that within a call intake. Okay, in this case, Claude did mess up. It created a new folder. So that's something I'm going to improve on the skill before I upload it to the community. But if I go into here and I grab this, we're going to go ahead and simply copy that. We're going to head back to the real folder. You want to put it within calls and paste it in here. Now within your Claude instance, you want to go ahead and run /call. It's going to go ahead and look through all possible call folders, which is why you want your call intake folder to be clean and only have 1 intake at a time, because it's going to look for all of them and try processing that one for that individual client. So here it's mentioning that it found some changes it wants to the website, but it also mentioned no new project identified, which is correct, but everything is a website update. Does this categorization look right? I'm going to say yes. Now, obviously, if you're using a specific tool and that tool offers webhooks or API access or even an MCP server, you can streamline this even further, where directly after you get off the call, it's going to automatically put those call transcripts in the correct folder. Because I don't want to dive into every single possible note-taking tool, there's a bunch of them out there. I'm just showing you how to copy and paste the transcripts manually, but obviously you can go the extra mile if you want to. All right, so now it's saying it created these plans here. Let's go ahead and double check that. If I go over to the website folder, if I go into plans, we now have check-in updates, which should be the right call. If I head back over to Claude, I can now do /status. And I'm not going to specify a client. Hopefully it sees from the context of this call, we're talking about the bakery client. But either way, it's going to look for all plans and look for the current statuses of different clients. All right, so for this client here, the Sunrise Bakery, we have 1 pending, 1 in progress. Can you spin up an appropriate amount of subagents to tackle that 1 pending task to make the updates to the website? All right, and now it's going ahead and building this in 3 different agents. Fantastic. But this is how you can go ahead and organize your client work with Claude Code. Whenever a call comes in, you just basically send it to Claude Code and it builds it out. It at least plans it out, and then you are much more streamlined.